inside at last.
Welcome, fellow Taffers, to Inside at Last, the one and only thief dedicated podcast. My name is Alex. With me are Seth and Jake, and you're probably wondering what we are talking about today. Hey!
Hello, long time no speak.
Hey, good to be
Yeah,
back.
we are back. And today we have a Taffers talk to celebrate our little comeback and to get used to all these things again. And yeah, it's great to have everybody here. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hello,
long
hello.
time no speak.
Good to be
Yeah.
back.
So to the chat, I hope you can hear everything very well. Please let us know. And yeah, guys, in general, how long has it been? Do you have a feeling it was the Black Parade? I think over a year, right?
I think it's been a year and a half. Feels
Year and a
Yeah,
half. Yep.
almost like
Yep.
2.
yeah, it's been a while. So I'm really sorry for all the shenanigans we did with last week we wanted to do, and then Jake put his house underwater.
Somebody set off a water arrow actually inside my house.
Right. And you tried to exercise with his water arrows, and then it happened. No, and then we couldn't do it. I'm sorry, but it was really, really great to see how many people joined the stream already. That was amazing. I was a bit flattered. And yeah, so today we are doing it. The topics are Thick as Thieves, the Thief 1 Remaster, and then we might talk about the state of the podcast. What I don't want to say we have plans, but maybe we can just discuss live on the stream what is possible in the future. So to start, I would generally say, how much Thief have you played during the last 1.5 years?
I'd say I've been trying to keep up with some of the newer fan missions. I don't think that I've played a lot, though. Not as much as I would have liked. Been pretty busy.
Yeah. So it's so nice that you joined, you entered your telephone booth and came into our time today.
Yes,
Travel to the
been spending a
present.
lot
Yeah,
of weekends in the past.
yeah. I've
Yes.
also been in a similar position. I've been following a lot of the new projects and stuff, which I know we'll talk about today and things like that. But yeah, haven't really done a deep dive since the Black Parade, but do try to keep up with new fan things and looking forward to everything in the future that's coming out too.
Yeah, I think I was a bit tired of Thief after the Black Parade. I played only missions that had like a 7+ rating on Thief Guild because I don't know, I didn't want to play like small missions anymore, which is no
Hmm.
disrespect to the authors, but I didn't feel like it. And then a couple of weeks ago, around the time when you, Jake, asked me about the Thick as Thief thing, then I started playing things again, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a good time for Thief actually. So
Yeah.
before we dive into the real Thief topic, we dive into Thick as Thieves. Jake and we played it, and that was actually the initial reason, thanks to Jake, to start another episode. Because you asked me like, "Hey, couldn't we discuss this on the podcast?" And I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, let's see." Then there was the Steam summer sale, which made the game like, what was it, 40% cheaper, so $3 instead of 5. Um,
Yeah.
and so we played it. I can tell we didn't play it for long, um,
About an hour
but
maybe.
before we dive into that, Seth, you haven't played the game. I think you have just observed some information. But what what are your thoughts about when you like maybe saw a trailer or heard of this? And what would you expect the game to be?
Right. So I have played multiplayer Thief in the past. I'll get into that in a second. And when Other Side Entertainment announced Thick as Thieves, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago. Uh, I I don't think that it made as big a splash as it should have. Because I think an immersive sim multiplayer game is pretty exciting to hear about, and it's been tried before, and it's been successful. Um, I think the art style was great. It was about what I expected. I think as far as gameplay goes, I kind of expected it to inherit from the multiplayer mod that came before. So there was a fully featured multiplayer mod for Unreal Tournament called Thievery UT.
Yep, very
And
famous.
yep, Thievery UT had a good number of maps. I think that it started with 2 or 3, as many games do. And, with fan editions and developer editions and patches, I think it's up to around 20 maps by the time they were done with it. It's quite a few. And Thick as Thieves wanted to be a fully featured multiplayer game where I believe you could play as both teams. And in Thievery UT, that was quite successful. You had a team of guards and you had a team of thieves, and they
Hmm.
were in competition. Some of the guards team composition was made up with bots, and that was fine because you don't want every single enemy to be super alert and super aware. But I think that the system in Thievery worked really well, and I was very disappointed to hear that Thick as Thieves was not able to meet all of their goals, and I believe it only released with 2 maps,
Yep.
That's right. Yep. There's only 2. And
which is
also
kind of
to
a
your
bummer because it looks very much like it inherited a lot of very good things from other titles. Like it looks like they really did try to pick the best features that they could and cherry pick those. So I was disappointed to hear that it wasn't as good as everyone had hoped.
and to your point, I think also, yeah, it is only co-op. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Seth. Like the original vision for this was player versus enemy, which is a more ambitious gameplay loop. I think that they ended up with, which we'll get into.
But I think that is the story of the studio, right? To not deliver what was expected. So when I did my research, it's like, okay, they did this Ultima Underworld like game,
Hmm.
um, which didn't meet the expectations. Then, of course, the System Shock 3 thing was like, yeah, it wasn't their fault really, because now it's on Tencent has the rights
Hmm.
to it. But yeah, because I know when I saw the trailer, I think at least among the community, it got a bit of a buzz or some attention. But my impression was just among the community, not outside of the bubble. And I think it was only because maybe Warren Spector was involved, as far as I know.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I didn't give it much attention because I'm not such a core player. And then, Jake, why did you come up with the idea to play this and discuss it on the podcast?
I thought it was just interesting because like I could see like the shell of what this could have been and could be good. Like I think to your point earlier, Alex, like I think this probably would have been a good idea to start with over something like Underworld Descendant or System Shock 3 because it
Yep.
is multiplayer and it's closed. And it has some of those like thief elements, like it has like the light gem and the sound system, kind of, sort of, not really. But you could see where I think the skeleton of this could have been good, but because of those issues that like you mentioned, like running out of time, running out of money, and just not just a couple small things like that. But you can see, and
Becoming
I
a
think
very
that's what
familiar story.
right, right. And I think that's what makes it interesting because it's not like there was no talent behind this, like you mentioned Warren Spector and things like that. And like as we were playing it, like we had very mixed or reactions we'll get into. But as I was playing it, I was like, this could have been good. Like this should have been your first idea. Now it's your third idea, and like you're kind of running out of time and the writing's on the wall, it seems like, for the studio, unfortunately for everyone that was lost their jobs.
Yeah, I think part of that, something to keep in mind is that sometimes the games that studios attempt to develop become smaller over time because I noticed their first title, the first Ultima title, was self-published. Their second title, they brought on a publisher, which means outside
Hmm.
investment.
Hmm.
I believe this title also had outside investment. So all sorts of things happen behind the scenes when publishers get involved.
Yes.
Sometimes the budget goes up, and sometimes they say, "Well, we'll throw you a line, but we can't give you your full budget. You're going to have to make do with a smaller amount." So that could be
Ye
part of the reason for the gradual reduction in scope.
I think you're right. I think that System Shock 3 was being published by Starbreeze, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I believe this game, Thick as Thieves, was being published by, I think, Megabit. I'm not super familiar with the publisher, but to your point, yes, there was outside publishers, and obviously you're taking money, and you got to be on other people's deadlines when you're taking money and things
And
of that nature.
who knows what requirements the publisher handed down when they agreed to the project as well. They might have asked for changes to the core design that
Uh,
might have been good or might not have been.
yeah, sorry for the sound in the background. I just checked the Steam page and the trailer immediately started.
Oh, that's okay. We didn't hear anything.
No, but the listeners will. So, um, yeah, I don't know the publisher either. I was just checking what they also did. The ratings on the game are average, that which is never a good thing. And yeah, they haven't had they are Clawpunk, Loose Lagoon, Hello Sunshine, Ormut. I think that Grit and Valor. Yeah, that were the games they made, or they published. Um, so and then Jake, you started playing with a buddy of yours, right?
Yeah, so I initially played with a friend. We played for kind of a few hours, going through like the content and discovering, the content, or I should say the lack of content. Um, Obviously the game is, in US's dollars is like $5 when it came out, but even with that, and I think you hinted at it earlier, Alex, like there's not a lot here. So we played for a few hours, and it was pretty clear that we're just going to be playing essentially the same things over and over again.
Yeah. And then you got me into this. And
Mhm.
I was, of course, yeah, very happy that I got it even cheaper than the $5. I think we will discuss that topic later. Um, so yeah, I downloaded it and then we arranged a date and we played it for what was it, an hour maybe?
About an hour,
Uh,
yeah. I think we played for about
yeah.
an hour.
So I came into this. Is a tutorial. I think the graphic style is the art direction is a thing of taste because I didn't like it. Um, it's this. How do you describe it? It's this rough shaped thing, which always to me looks like yes, they had an ambition to make it look good as a 3D game, but they didn't have the budget or the manpower to really go into detailed graphics. So they make
Mhm.
this like it looks like a woodcut, you know. The edges are pretty rough. The textures are fine, but you know it has this little like a cartoonish look to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
very
No, I agree with you.
stylized.
Yeah.
I would describe it as being sort of Norman Rockwell-ish. It's very similar to Team Fortress 2.
Yeah,
I agree.
or Dishonored, I think, is also a comparison, but in my opinion, you know, Dishonored, um at the beginning I was fighting a bit with the look, but it got me over time because I think that game had the manpower to work with this style, you know, to make it really work. But here this to me looks like a standard polished 3D game, but I don't know, I didn't like it, but it's a matter of taste, so that's fine. I wouldn't criticize us for that. um and yeah, then I played the tutorial, and the tutorial was, I don't know, really basic. And actually, for me, it gave me a wrong impression because, of course, it felt a bit like, yeah, it's like thief mechanics. Um, so you start like, yeah, with the light and shadow and stuff, and then you learn how to knock out a guard. And then there was the first thing that irritated me. Then there was uh, like a violet clitoris hanging on the ceiling, and I
As you
Oh, yeah,
do.
thought
yeah.
And I thought, because that was the first thing that looked like that, and I thought they just highlighted it for me due to the tutorial, but this was actually a thing. And
Oh,
um,
Like a
so
motion sensor or something, or
yeah, it's a
camera.
motion sensor. So I had to throw what is it, a
Smoke
grenade.
bomb?
Yeah, right. And so I'm hidden. So I didn't get that this is an active thing. So then I crossed that, and yeah, then the tutorial was over, and I was like, okay, this is just basic stealth. But what I expected is like this game really. I didn't read any tests, reviews, or whatnot before. I just checked it out, and I thought, okay, the gameplay maybe they can show it to me because I need another person. So that the mechanics, the real mechanics, like co-op mechanics, where you have to do things together to make it work, and to get to your goals, that will happen later, and come naturally during the gameplay. But then I sadly happened to play with Jake, who was the
What a shame.
the worst, the
I'm very
worst
impulsive.
co-op player,
It's
because
true.
we started, and yeah, I was a bit irritated by all the stuff with the menu, and then you have to buy missions in your outfit store or what. It's a total mess in my opinion, not very intuitive, even if it's explained in the tutorial, I have to admit that. And then we start with this, yeah, it's a mansion like, and Jake was gone. he was he was everywhere, he was all over the place. And I thought like, why is he doing that? But I didn't want to complain, so I just got along with it. The thing is, I was of course slower because I wanted to orientate myself, and Jake already knew the surroundings, and he was already up there and doing stuff, and he already had skills, and he could do things and imitate guards. You were playing as the man, and I was playing as
Yeah.
this woman.
Yeah, the woman
um,
has a grappling hook, the man has a disguise power. Those are the two main differentiators for those classes.
Exactly. I didn't know about my grappling hook. I never used it, but great to know now. So Jake didn't tell me shit. Um, so he
This
just
is true.
he was just up there like, oh, taking out a guard, and then he's there, and I was trying to follow. But there's no criticism to you, Jake,
I get it. No, it's
because
okay.
here comes the loop back to the game design. Because of course this could happen, because what I expected is, as I said, that there are mechanics that will force us to work together. So if that would be the case, you would have an interest to guide me through this and to do things together with me.
hmm
But the reality is that this is just like two thief players, two stealth first person players, and basically they can do their own stuff. They don't have to work together.
Yes.
I can go left, you can go right. Of course, you can say, hey, I look for, need to look for certain clues. And when you found certain clues, then you can find the goal, which is pretty basic, I would say. But we didn't have to work together. I thought it, and immediately in my head, there were so many ideas. How could they make that work? And that was totally disappointing. The maps are big, but they are boring, and I found it a bit hard to orientate myself in them because they look so bland. And
hmm
yeah, that was my first impression of the first mission. We will come to the second mission later.
Yeah, no, but to your point, I remember like while we were playing the first mission, like you even mentioned something I thought was a really good idea, Alex. You said, "Hey, like we have to get into this safe. Wouldn't it be a good idea if like one of us had to like, grab one side or grab the other or in some way work together to like open the safe?" And like to your point, like you don't have to do any of that. And I feel like that is a
Cooperation in a
consequence.
co-op game?
Right. Yeah,
Stupid idea, I
exactly.
know.
Right, and yeah, craziness. But I feel like that, and I'm not making excuses for the game, obviously. I feel like that may be the consequence of taking it from a player versus enemy game, where because if you have human enemies like running around the map, like you have extra pressure to like work with your team because you have an incredibly intelligent enemy that's going to be pursuing you or outworking you. But because you don't have that anymore, we're left with what you said, Alex, which is like we're basically just two people playing a single player game that happens to be in the same map.
And we have the same goals at the end of the day, and we are
Yep.
sharing the loot, which is that was actually nice that not everyone is doing individual.
Every man for
um
himself.
on the other hand, wouldn't it be actually great if like what I collect is my loot at the end of the day, and what you collect is your loot? Because then you would always be in this in between, like, yes, I want to support the team effort.
Mhm.
I want to achieve the goals, and then there's time pressure and stuff. But wouldn't I maybe, go ahead. I just check out this room. Maybe there's a clue, and you're just looking for loot. So
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Yeah, the
and or like there are these turrets.
mhm.
And
The
I
turrets.
thought, wouldn't it be cool? Like one person has to distract the turret, and the other one has to go get behind it and
Disable it.
disable it, or something like that. There would be so many ideas. Or with the mechanic that you could imitate guards.
Mhm.
Um, so you could maybe go up to a guard and start like a conversation thing, or distract them, and during that he turns away from a certain object he watched, so I can grab it, and a key or something like that's hanging on the wall, and he's watching it all the time. But then you come up and, hey buddy, going to the bear pits
Most
tomorrow.
birds. Yeah, I was gonna mention the bear pit. That's so
You want to
funny.
come with?
Yeah. And but this didn't happen, and there's no team play in the game. And of course, what you said, like, yes, it started with a different concept, and this is the leftovers, and that's what the game feels like. But there's so much potential lost, and if we come up within the minutes of the game what could have been done better, or what ideas would be great to advance the gameplay, I wonder what they had in mind.
Yeah, I wish we could see a design document. It would tell us like just how much they planned to do and what ended up cut.
Or even
So
also, oh, I was gonna say too, like to your point, Alex, like it's simple changes that could have been done. Like for example, turning off a turret could be a longer animation that exposes the player to like danger rather than in the game right now where you walk up to the turret, you hit a button, it's off instantly. So you make that like a long like imagine you have to like press a really hard lever on the back of the turret. Kind of a silly idea, but that would expose you to guards or to other turrets, which requires then the other person to come in and distract or something like that, to your point.
yeah, exactly. And maybe, like, the turret just like has 2 seconds until it detects the other player. So you just have to, walk through their cone, of vision, and then but you have to get out, and you have to maybe look. I know that must be really hard to program and stuff, but then you swoosh through the site, and then you go around, and the other player has still to stay in connection with whatever you're doing to the turret. And yeah, that would have been amazing. What also I have to say whatever you want about Thief 2014, but the swoosh mechanic is something I don't want to miss in a modern first person stealth game.
Mm. No, for sure. I mean,
um, so then we did the first mission. It didn't feel like a success. It was just like, okay, now we did everything the game told us. So we did it in order, and now we reached the goal. Okay, mission over. And then we were like, everybody is back in their own place, which happens to look the same. But and then you were like, yeah, go to the table. There is the second mission, and I'm like, no, I don't have a second mission. It's closed. And then you were like, you need to go to the skill shop, and there you also buy the missions,
Yep. Yeah, it's really strange.
which
Ooh,
was,
that sounds like they wanted to sell them as DLC.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know. But why do you put it there? Why can't I, buy it on the table where the missions are? There's like a little war table, and there you see the city, and then there is like a little figurines of the mission.
Mhm. Miniatures,
And
yeah.
why can't I open it there? Why can't I buy it there? Of course, yeah, I need to open it, I need to buy it. That's fine. But why going through this menu stuff? And that's also a very strange decision. So then I bought the second mission of two, by the way. And then we started with that mission. And maybe, Jake, you want to describe that mission with all its highlights that they have set up there.
Yeah, it's basically built around this big tower. It's, an estate similar to the first one, but it's mostly built around the tower. It's at nighttime and it is paranormal to say the least. I mean, that the biggest differentiator of Mission 2 is there is ghosts everywhere. It is haunted as haunted can be, and I feel like that is where we ran into even more frustration. Because, like you said, Alex, like the first mission, I think left us, wanting more, a bit unsatisfied, but there was more of a skeleton we could see. But with mission 2, it's much more vertical because it is based around this tower. There's other things, of course, but it's all kind of leading towards the tower. And then all around this compound there is ghosts, and I feel like that's maybe a good place to pick up because that's where we encountered the ghosts, and then it was mayhem or
So
frustration.
ma- the so one of the ghosts is like um Slimer
Yes, he's
from
green.
Ghostbusters,
It's gonna get
but
you.
in the shape of an overweight Dr. Watson.
Yes, it's
Oh,
accurate.
He has this little Malone head, and yeah, so they can go through walls, and hiding from them is so annoying because
Hmm.
I get it. If you have a hypersensitive enemy, who I get it. It's fine, but when they can go through walls, like where do I hide? Behind objects. And then I'm I'm there like, oh yeah, I've hidden, and then he just comes through the wall. Hello, and it's like, okay, all the effort, is the stealth effort is suddenly you feels corrupted. I would say.
Yes, absolutely. And to your point also, I think like the very first ghost like followed us basically through the whole map because to your point,
Yes,
very sensitive, and also the fact is like he doesn't have to obey any kind of geometry, which is like which is like two bad things put together. Like you have an enemy that's hypersensitive and he could easily pursue you through like anything, which is just like is not fun stealth gameplay. You kind of have to pick one or the other. Like you either have to have an enemy that is really alert and maybe, can't get to you quite as easily. I'm kind of thinking of like the robots from like Thief 2 perhaps,
yep,
or you have an enemy that is very mobile, but they're easy to like sneak around. But having both, where he followed us through the whole map, was like, what the H?
yeah. He doesn't have like a clear disadvantage over us, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, he's
I think
omnipotent basically.
a good enemy in a stealth game has a huge strong point, but he has a very clear weak point, a very clear weakness.
Yeah,
And
an Achilles
uh,
heel.
I think that the children of Karas are perfect because they are very strong and
Hmm.
they can kill you with one shot. But of course, they don't move very fast, and they have a weak spot. But of course, you need some skill, to hit that little oven in the back. Um, but it's manageable, so they are a threat, but if you use your skills right, then and that's actually the feeling that you are the master thief or whatever, and you can you are more clever than the enemy, and that feeling was totally gone because the enemy wasn't clever, but he was so overpowered. um and what is it what is it with this ooze or goo?
There's a weapon that you can unlock, a gadget that you can unlock. Like, and first off, you don't get this right away, so you have to be playing for a minute to get this, which is even more frustrating. But after you level up to a certain level, you get this basically this goo grenade that they added, and it basically can like trap the ghosts and temporarily immobilize them. And I believe that guards can like slip on them as well, and they give you like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah,
So that's like the only way other than the record player. There's record players around the level as well. And the record players also like attract the ghosts. But there is no way to disable the ghosts. And
yeah,
like to your point too, Alex, like with the children of Karis, like they have that very distinct walk cycle. So you can predict where they go. You can take them out in multiple ways, like mines and water arrows and things like this. The ghosts, there's 2 ways to distract them, but they're still alert like after you distract them. So it's like, why would I turn on a record player that's going to lure the ghost over? Like that's going to alert him, so now he's going to be alert. So when the record player goes off, now he's going to find me through the whole level and kill me. Like
you know what
it's
this
just very
sounds like to
silly.
me? It sounds a little bit like they started working on the second level and they needed to prototype all the features of an enemy, and they only got as far as one model and they attached all of their prototype features to it, and then they had to ship the game. So it probably shipped in the form that it was in the editor, which was a bunch of prototype systems all linked to one
Debug
enemy, and they're
mode.
like, "Yep, it's fully featured. Ship it."
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So yeah, that was basically the gameplay, and after that, I said, okay, I'm done with this game. I don't want to play it anymore. And you said, Jake, yep, I can understand that.
I've seen
Uh,
Yeah,
enough.
for sure.
Yeah, it was like that. There was not much more. There were any other levels, and I felt, because I didn't have like such powers and weapons, so I felt really frustrated throughout the whole second mission, and
Hmm.
it wasn't fun. And also, these enemy don't make really like, let's stick to the children of Karazar. Every enemy in Thief, they make distinct sounds,
They
and
bark.
Yes.
you can hear them from afar, because I think a stealth game like this, is working with sound other than like a Hitman or something. That's a different approach of stealth gaming. But
Hmm.
here you need the sound. So, the enemies were, that's the thing. I should surprise the enemies, but the enemies were always surprising me.
Yes. That's so true. Yes, because there's not a lot of good like audio tells in this game. Like the guards, of course, as we know in Thief, like and the Children of Karis, like they make noise, and obviously Thief like knocks out of the park with the ambient noise. And the reason why that's so great is because you're relying on your ears nearly as much as you're relying on your eyes. Like you can hear something
Garrett's
before
really
you
just
enter
a
the room.
bat. He's echolocating.
Yeah, no, seriously, because you like in those later levels of like Thief 2, for instance, since we're talking about like the Children of Karis, like you can hear them from the other room. And it provides a sense of like knowing what's coming next, like knowing what the challenge is gonna be. And you also have that fear where you're like, oh crap, like I'm about to walk into a room with 5 robots. Whereas like the contrast in this game, like we walked into a couple rooms, like Alex and I did, that were like filled with guards. And we had like no idea till we got in there. There's like 8 guards. We're like nobody's making noise. Like it's really hard to hear anybody's footsteps if you can even hear them. It's like so now it's like rutro. Now we're like in this situation, and the game did not give us what you would expect would be a reasonable tell to know that we're about to walk into danger, which is not fun.
Yeah, you got to
Y-
telegraph what you want the player to interact with before the interaction happens, and they can't prepare for it.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, and then I think we should come to what surrounds the game. I think, first of all, what always irritated me was the price,
Hmm.
because I once and I told you already in private, but I once heard a podcast, a gaming podcast, about how with the psychological pricing balance of games.
Hmm.
So what is happening in brains, like, okay, this game cost $30, I expect the game to be like this and this. Is it worth it or not? But then there's the other range. If you make a game too cheap, then it feels cheap, and then
Mm.
people are like, it's only $5, so I don't know if it's worth it. It
How
couldn't
good
be
can it
much.
be?
Yeah, really. Like, I don't know. $5 is like, thrown, and $5 without any sale. Um, so that always irritated me. But then I actually have to say, $5 is fine. I think this is an early access game,
Hmm. For
because
sure.
they have a base of the two missions, and there are still a lot of flaws. But I think players would be way more forgiving if it's like, yeah, okay, they are still working on it. I played, let's say, $10. I think $10 would be a early access installment. I could agree, but this is like a finished product, or it should be. It is sold as a finished product, but it isn't finished, and you can see that everywhere. Just two missions, the strange guard behavior or enemy behavior and whatnot. Um, and I had several bugs because I was always hearing the characters you're playing are talking in their head,
Yes,
and,
that's a good
I
point that you
had
bring up.
the male voice at the first mission all the time, and which was so irritating because I was thinking that Jake is right next to me with his male character that he played, but as I described, he wasn't anyway. He was way on the other side of the level.
Was in the roof.
Yeah, right. And I was in the basement. But I was always like, hey, wait, is Jake? No, Jake is not. Where does that voice come from? Oh, it's me, but it's not the voice I had in the tutorial that was talking to myself with a very annoying accent, by the way. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was it didn't it doesn't feel right. Nothing feels right with this thing. I'm really sorry. I'm not the type to shit on games, but this thing was a bad release in my opinion.
No, I
Very
agree.
unfortunate.
Yeah, and also too, like just to give you some context as well, Seth, like and it's interesting that you brought this up, Alex, because like I was thinking about is like the characters that you play as are talking more than the guards, where it should be the reverse, like where Garrett will say a couple things, but mostly he's listening to the guards and gathering information, but your characters are chatting more than the guards are. It's very like out of whack.
Yeah, and they are not the Stephen Russell type of, there are so many strange decisions. And of course, if you I think the studio, when it was brought up, I think in 2016 or something, um that was who was there? Tim Stalmark, who was the leader of the whole studio? Could you just
Paul Neurath, I think, founded them,
Yeah,
I
Paul
believe.
Neurath was the
Yeah.
founder. 2013, they were named. Uh, they had a
Looking
different
Glass?
name. Yeah, they were from Looking Glass. Warren Spector was joining 2016. Yeah, and then they tried to do the Underworld Ascendant 2018 as a Kickstarter. Massive flop, highly bugged, mechanical, unfinished at release. System Shock, was their big
Yeah.
thing they had, but then the publisher went bankrupt, so the rights to this were sold to Tencent, and then they wanted to do a D&D game, which was cancelled by Hasbro in 2023. And then they had like a sci-fi project, Argos, it was called. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I think it's this whole thing. Of course, there's a lot of things that wasn't their fault. But when you start with such a flop like the Underground game, I don't know. And I think it's a good example of, yes, your old heroes. Maybe you know I don't know, but things are different today, and I don't know if some people can keep up with it. I don't know what the circumstances are, but yeah, the whole thing sounds wrong.
And we were talking about this too before, but I feel like they started off like so ambitious. And to your point of like, the industry changing, it's like it's needing to get games that are smaller. I feel like when you're a smaller studio, and maybe like Seth, you could speak to this too, because I know you know some things about game development, but it's like finding that idea that you can pare down and it still like has like depth to it. Because I remember you
Yep.
mentioned earlier, Seth, like projects start huge and they get smaller. That's like normal. But when you start from a certain place where you're like, oh, we're gonna make an Underworld sequel, and then it's just not the game that people are expecting. To your point, Alex, like it's hard to build off of that when like your first game is like a flop. Not to obviously make anybody feel bad, obviously, because we wanted it to be good, but it doesn't do as well as they hope, and now you're having to like pare back on these like ideas where like you're seeing them trail off like more and more to where they get to Thick as Thieves, and what the game was out a month and everybody's being let go and you don't have the money or the time to support it now. So
Yeah.
Scope creep is a real thing. You'll often start a game off with a pretty good sense of what you're going to make, and it will feel achievable. And as you go along, naturally, the folks who are working on features will have ideas about how they could improve those features. And so you end up with a game that's very achievable at the start. And if you don't very carefully clamp down your ideas and say, no, we're not adding on to this, you'll end up with a game that's twice as large in a very short amount of time.
yeah, it seems like that way, just with like not to obviously get it off into like Underworld, but like Underworld had like so many ideas, and they're like, we're gonna make Underworld, we're gonna make System Shock, we're gonna do a new Thief game, but it's gonna be PvPvE, which is like what all the kids like, and it's like hot now. It's like so many ideas. It's like just get one it's easy for me to say, but just get one great thing out, one good thing out, and like build on it. Like you were saying about the price earlier, Alex, it's like $5 or $10 like would be okay if there was like a roadmap of like, all right, like we're gonna introduce it for $10, and then in a month you can expect another map or another character. But it's like, here's $5, like we might put out
It's the
more
whole game.
content, or we might not. Yeah, it's the whole
Part of
game.
the problem though, when you're trying to decide, like if I've been in this situation in the studio, you're going to release a game, the game is supposed to be larger than it is, that it's not worth the value you're going to charge, and you could put it out as an early access game and hope it sells well enough to justify a continuation of development, but you don't think it's going to. It might not feel honest to release it as an early access game, because you might kind of know the writing might be on the wall that like you're only going to get one release. So it's like it's almost more honest to release it at a low value and let it stand on its own and have your credit on your portfolio. And like you might still strike big. The game might sell really well, and the studio might come back, but the chances are that it won't. So you don't list it as early access because you don't want to mislead anybody. Also takes quite a bit of work to have an early access roadmap developed
That's
and
true.
quite a bit of design.
Yeah, I'm sure. And that's, I think, to Alex's point earlier, like you launch for $5, like it doesn't really inspire much confidence, like psychologically. And also, like to your
Right.
point, it's gonna be hard to save the studio, like for $5, like a purchase.
$5 a
Like,
title and you sell 100 titles. You're not hiring everybody back on for another year.
right. So yeah.
And when you think of like, then there's still the Steam fee, that's like
Yep.
30%, and yeah, that's not much. What do you make on? And a stealth game in general is already,
Niche.
very brave to do. And then as a co-op game, of course, we've seen that, there are great co-op games out there, but they were very, very successful, but they weren't stealth games. So yeah, I
Yeah,
would think,
for sure.
yeah. So I think that is that, or is there anything you guys want to add to this?
I just want to say on record that I hope this isn't the last time someone tries this concept. I don't want it to scare people away from trying new things. And unfortunately, what happens is a game like this comes out and then people get afraid to try it for a while.
Yeah, of course. Or they listen to all the great ideas we had.
They hire
And
us as the development team.
nah, I wouldn't advise that. But maybe you worked in that. But Jake and I, we are like social worker guys.
Yeah, don't hire me. I
Um,
wouldn't be very good.
Every team needs mental health support.
Yeah, then we are always like, no, we want to do this feature, and then the other part of it, no, we want to do this feature. And we're like, okay, guys, calm down. What's the problem here, really?
How
I
can we
need-
mediate? How can we come to a collaborative solution that everybody can agree on? Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
a forehead kiss.
There's a German saying that is like, okay, let's find a compromise so everybody is unhappy.
That's good. That's funny.
Yeah, Germans, we're known as funny guys. Yeah, but let's move on to a potentially more positive topic. And that is something I'm personally looking forward to. Thief won the remaster. And
Yay.
why don't they call it the remaster Thief? Let's be honest.
What a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they resynced Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Resynced is a great name because it picks up something from the game's mechanic or the story.
Mhm.
But the remaster Thief, wouldn't that be amazing? I think people would love it and buy it to hell. They're like, I don't like stealth game. What is that even? But the remaster Thief, perfect name, 10 out of 10.
Tari's like, no.
I mean, if we get the Night Dive guys on the podcast one day, I will ask that question. You can bet on that. And that's
Yeah, here's
all
hoping.
I will have to add to this, and the rest of the discussion can be done by you and the community.
Also, we love them. That's another thing we should note too.
Who do we love?
The Night Dive guys and the Atari guys.
Why do we love them?
Because they're bringing back
Because
Thief.
They're
We
bringing
want to
back
get them on the
Thief.
show.
They're
Okay,
in the Discord and they're very excited to be talking to the community about it.
let's see. Maybe it will never happen because there are some shenanigans with their official emails and stuff. So
Yes.
let's see. But
Fingers
we're
crossed.
working on it. We're working on it. We have an insider. So let's see. But what are your thoughts on the Thief remaster? So I think it was announced on the what is it called here? This video game awards, or what was it? I think
June
it
8th.
wasn't it announced there?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Yep.
what are your thoughts on this thing?
I've never been so excited. I've never been so terrified.
Okay, take us
That's
through your thoughts.
Well, I mean, remasters can go one of two ways, right? It either knocks it out of the park and everyone's excited and happy and there's a renaissance, or something goes terribly wrong and it doesn't quite hit its mark and everyone says that the remaster should never have happened. Why don't you just buy the original game? So
That's already happening, but I will come to
See?
that later.
I'm extremely excited because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a studio to take something that we already know works and bring it to a new audience, right? Like not much has to change here. The game is already awesome. Ship it. But there's also the
true.
chance that when you get a little close to the sun, sometimes your feathers melt and you fall to the ground. So there's the chance that they might try to overcompensate for something or fix something that wasn't broken, and that will result in something awesome or something terrible. So my greatest hope is that they take the game as it is and add some quality of life changes and ship it as it is. My greatest fear is that somebody will have great ideas about how to improve and change the game, and it just won't land the way that they hope it does.
Have you played Night Dive releases?
I haven't.
So I think that is that is one thing, and that's what I read throughout the community. Um, that is, I think, a good thing because I read
Mm.
comments that said if one studio can do it and stay true to the original and meet expectations, then it's them. So I think
Actually, I want to correct myself. I have played Turok, System Shock Enhanced Edition, and System Shock 2, as well as Sin Gold. So I have played some Nighttime releases. I just didn't
you,
even
you,
know it.
you never watch the intro screens, right?
Right.
Obviously.
Skip them.
So, but then you have, because I haven't played them. I can just from here saying I can just talk. So, how well did they handle those remasters?
Those seemed quite all right. I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that I was playing a remaster because they seem more like ports. My opinion is that what you really want to do when you're doing a quote unquote remaster is port the original game, maximize the compatibility, and like add some optional coats of paint that players can decide if they want or not. If you're an even classier developer, you disable them all by default, make them an option. Or just
hmm
ask the player when they boot the game, do you want the high definition texture pack? Do you want the new soundtrack or the old soundtrack?
And
And do it sort of like,
as far as I know, that's gonna happen.
I hope
hmm
so. My fingers are crossed. That's like the classiest move you can do.
How did they do it with
Yeah.
the System Shock 2, for example? Because that's the same engine.
S-
I
So
don't recall off the
System
top of my
Shock.
head.
So System Shock 2, I did play the enhanced edition. I think they enhanced like some of the models, but it's not like it's not a radical change, but the models have like more detail. And I feel like the lighting and shadows are pretty faithful to the original because I support like
That's
kind of your
cool.
point. I think they've mostly kept things pretty close to the original, and I think that's like my excitement too. Like to your point, is like if this is good, I think it will be a good thing, even if it's not to like my taste and my changes, because like it brings more like eyes onto Thief and the community. And the only project I think where they've made any kind of, I would say, significant changes to gameplay loops was the System Shock remake. But I think that was predicated on the fact that like it was a remake, not a
Yep,
remaster.
yep, I
Like they
agree.
added the weapon upgrade system and they added the recycling mechanic to System Shock remake. I feel like adding those kinds of mechanics to like this would probably be going far. But yeah, for the most part, when they've put remaster in the title, it's mostly been like enhancing the graphics, a few quality of life changes and things like that. So
Textures probably.
See, but
textures, yeah.
that's so very subjective, and I like without trying to provoke a huge discussion about it. It's like whether or not you like remastered visuals is like, is it a remaster or is it kind of like painting over the Mona Lisa? You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
In the case of Thief, I don't want to play with anything high definition. I eschew some of the HD texture packs that are already available. I think they screw things up. And I quite like the garish colors and bold shapes of the original Thief. I would
Mhm.
like to avoid whatever the remaster might provide in that regard. So I would hope that either they follow the spirit of the original so closely it doesn't bother me, or that I might just do away with it entirely and play as I remember it.
Yeah, and then we come to this. You know, my biggest worries is not the game that they will release. I'm pretty optimistic, especially when they make a lot of things optional.
Yes.
Um, I'm
So far,
more
so good.
afraid of the community's reaction.
Mm.
Um, because j- just I just started streaming Thief 2X a couple of days ago, and by accident I downloaded the version 1.2, which has the HD graphics finger quotes update.
Right.
And like one of the first chat messages, like, "Oh, you play with the HD mod? That's ugly."
Yep.
And
Somebody acting like it's a demon they have to exercise.
yes, and a while ago on my German channel, I played Gothic. Gothic, most people
Oh,
won't know, but that it was pretty famous in Germany and Eastern Europe. It's an RPG from Germany from 2001, and it got a really great remake some
incredible
months.
story, famously hard to play, hence the remake.
Yes, and they did. I think they did a good job on the remake. But I, some month ago, I started playing the original game, and of course, I had to install like fan patches and some mods, to make it run on a modern PC. And I also added a mod, for example, that with some graphic enhancement, like the view, the distance, and in the original game, the inventory was awful to use, really, really awful.
Oof.
Um, and it was just like a grid. I think like five in a row and then down, and you had to manually go through it every time, and there was nothing in order, nothing was in categories. It's just a mess. So, but it was endless. There was no weight limit. But then I added a mod that puts different things in categories, like clothes, weapons, and stuff like that. And immediately, like first stream, a lot of people actually were there. Especially when you look at my subscription numbers, it was pretty cool. The amount of people. But the first comment is like, uh, uh, "Wait, do you use an inventory mod? That's not the full experience." Blah 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 blah. Like, or wait, the viewing distance isn't like the original. Like, you can see more than 4 centimeters. That's not the original experience.
Okay.
And for me, it's like, all right, all right, all right. You can play the game the way you want. You can play it on your 4x3 monitor if you want
Yep.
to. On your old Windows 98 system, or XP or whatnot. It's fine. Do it. But when I read the comments about Thief Remaster, it's like, oh, I hope they don't do that. And I hope I can turn everything off so that it looks exactly like the original. Where I'm like, yeah, then play the original. What is the purpose of, of a remaster? I mean, great giving them the money, but why? Um, or there were threads over the years on Reddit, for example, and I'm pretty sure on TTLG as well, where people were asking, like, hey, if there would ever be a Thief remaster, what would you want from it? And basically, there were long comments. But if you would summarize them with AI or something, the AI would say, yeah, basically they would say, keep everything as it
Don't
was.
do anything. Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
I
it's like
think
that support basically.
to interject, I would say I think the value of that is what I was saying before. You port the original experience in a way that that brings it forward and makes it accessible to a new audience. And then that new audience can say, well, I would like to see what it was like in 1998, and they can play it that way. Or they can say, "Oh, I would rather play with the updated graphics because that suits me better." You want to include both, right? You want to
Yes.
bring it
I
to a
think
new
I,
audience.
I think the tricky thing though is like to Alex's point, like what you're saying too. Like I agree with Seth. It's though that like the fans are your biggest critics, but they're also the people they're gonna like carry the torch for you,
Yeah,
right? Like they're gonna be the first ones to complain, but they're gonna be the ones on message boards if it appeals to them, going like, "This is great! Like everybody's got to buy it," you know. And it's a tricky thing, and I don't know have the answers to it, but it's like, how do you please the people who are your most hardcore fans who are going to be the ones on message boards and on social media and talking to their friends and going, "Oh, you got to play the Thief remaster," while at the same time like balancing it out so it's not just for the hardcore. It also brings in like those new people. I feel like that's like an open question, obviously, for every developer and game.
Oh, there's an interesting comment by Plutonia on the chat. My only concern is if they take artistic liberties when replacing the original assets, you have no right to reinterpret someone else's art. It's rude and you should feel bad for doing it. Oh, I would totally disagree with that. And I think if we would have Daniel Tron on, he would agree with me that it's not that there is a right. Actually they have the rights legally, and you have a right to reinterpret someone else's art, of course. I mean, um, look at everything. Uh, d- Everything is a reinterpretation of former art.
Oh yeah, of course.
Inspiration is a reinterpretation. You
And
creativity
I
know,
is
think
hiding your sources.
mhm.
exactly. And I think I know what he means, but that's exactly what we said. Like, yeah, if there why then a remaster wouldn't make no sense if there would be no, what do you, first of all, what do you define as art? Is like, would you say, okay, they had this inventory system where you have to cycle through all what you have all the time, which is annoying in my opinion, especially when you have a lot of objects in your inventory. um, and sometimes you need to be quick with finding something. And is that already the art decision they made? Is that the art, or was it just a technical limitation decision? Where does the art begin? Is when you say the game is a piece of art, yes, but games are a technical work also. So there have
Very
been
true.
limitations. So it's not like writing a book. Letters. It doesn't change where you read it and how, but games can be updated, and things can evolve throughout like they want to add like a ring menu, which is totally fine. I actually would love that, to see. If I like it, I don't know, but I would love to see that. But
Mhm.
is that already an art reinterpretation?
It's interesting because like to Plutonia's point, and I think to yours as well, Alex, like they hired Rob Waters, who did artwork for some of the Looking Glass games. They hired him for the System Shock remake, right? Like, and he did some of the remake artwork. So I feel like obviously I can't speak for them, but I feel like the line is like, where is it like, okay, the developer probably would have done this had they made the game now or had they had more time versus like I'm coming in, I am changing it now to where it's like completely unrecognizable like work. And I feel like based on past experience, I'm somewhat optimistic because they did, hire Rob back to do artwork when they were going for the remake of System Shock. And
Mm.
so to me, that shows like some conscientiousness of like, all right, we're going to do something that's going to be out of the original, but like we still want some of the original voice.
We want the
So,
original design intent.
right, right, versus like, okay, now we're going to do something that's like the developer probably wouldn't have done this had they had more time. And at that point, like we're making something brand new. But
To
like you brought up like the weapon wheel, and that's something that like you could debate. Like they probably would maybe add a weapon wheel had it been made now. Does that make sense?
to
I think the
Plutonia's
weapon wheel is
defense,
actually a good
to
idea.
Plutonia's defense, he added that he's like, that he said that you should change different assets.
Visuals. Yeah.
Someone made it the one way, and your job is to make their vision clearer, not change their vision. I think
Yep.
that pretty much says it. He's talking only about the visuals and audio that comprise the game world, not mechanical things. Yeah. So that's, but still, it still leaves room. Like, what do you interpret? What is your interpretation of art, especially in games? I
To
think.
to layer onto that, I think I would say the code is also a form of art because having known programmers, they put a great deal of time and effort into making sure that everything works cleanly with its neighbors, and it has to be refactored many times. And seeing the code base of a project advance to the point that it runs without a hitch, that takes time, effort, and iteration. I would say that it is also art. So you could argue as well that changing the programming and changing the game feel of the game from the back end is also a modification of art.
Yeah, but for example, like, then we come back to the technical stuff. Like, of course they would have done higher resolution textures if they could have. They would have added more polygons to the characters if they could have,
Sure.
but they couldn't. So now someone would say, hey, uh, so maybe some of the original developers would say, yes, if we would have the chance, we would have exactly done it like this with the remaster, but we didn't have the technology back then. And
We were
Versus
running out of time and we were running out of money.
no, they were running out of technology in several things,
Yep.
um and of course, like, the sound system is a very technical thing, but it is a piece of art. I think it's
Mhm.
almost unmatched today, or
Yeah,
people
which
didn't
is
try.
crazy.
Yeah, I think it's the importance maybe wasn't. I don't know why, but yeah, still, it's that's a piece of art, and it's very relevant to the game. And yeah, but um, and that's also the thing that shows here. Like, you cannot meet expectations of hardcore fans.
Everyone.
Yep. Absolutely.
Everyone
Someone
has
is going to
their
be
own
pissed.
thief in their heart for different
Mhm.
reason, and that could be a little thing. And the longer you play it, and you're like 25 years or more, um like, you getting used to things that others that would come to the series now, and like, what, with that annoying inventory you can play that? That's annoying as hell. Or I know that to this day people are like, nah, I turn new mantle off. Like, why? The
Yeah,
original climbing system was broken.
New Mantle is one of those things that I would agree with you on. I think that it improves the game.
Mm. Of course,
And
or
I
you
think
could say, hey, the Black Parade never should have happened because, the vision of the game was, New Dark never should have happened because that's what they were building, and that were the limitations they had to work their missions, and it should be like this for infinity.
right, and I
Like,
think we all would agree that like
someone said
adding
I'm
like
turning into Karis.
well, I think that was when you were talking about the technical aspects. I believe Key can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was when we were talking about the technical aspects, like the technology. But yeah, like to your point, and I think to Gamma Fight, I think if I said your name right, point
Yeah.
about cohesiveness, like yeah, if you added like we could debate like where the line is, like everybody can, and people will, now until the game comes out and afterward. But like something like if they were like, yeah, we're giving Garrett an AK-47, like everyone would be
Hell
like, okay,
yeah.
that's like vandalism because that's so clearly like off track from what like was the original like vision to like be very clear. It wouldn't be very
AK meaning
cohesive.
armed Karis. The
You
armed
give him an arm
Karis
carrot.
47s.
Do the voice, Seth.
Which one?
Uh,
The
yeah,
Karis
and
voice.
the gun talks while shooting.
Oh God,
My end is near.
I haven't done Karis in a while. I don't know if I
Bo-
could conjure him.
It's
boom,
okay.
boom, boom. Just did. Someone
A
just said
word of Karis.
yesterday in the stream. Someone said, like, I always thinking of Karis sitting in the studio and recording all the lines for his children.
He's got like a guy like feeding him lines, like going through a sheet of paper. Like, all right, now we're gonna do this one, Karis. So we need another take. It's funny.
Yeah, no, but really, like, just imagine sitting in the studio and you're like, I have heard, and then there's the sound engineer, like, great job, Karis.
He's giving him a thumbs up, like he's wearing headphones. He's giving him a thumbs up. He's like, "That's great, great take."
Yeah, right. Karis just
Uh,
vibing with it. But back to the topic. But yeah, but that's the thing. Like everyone has a unique thief in their heart, and they will never match the Taffers thing expectations. Because they would love to play their thief into infinity and beyond that. And I think one thing, and I think they got that, or they know about this, or at least, and I hope. I cannot imagine how, but I hope they managed to do it that it's actually compatible with fan missions.
yes,
Um,
that would
Yeah,
be great.
of all things, I think that's the thing we all want the most.
I have a certain feeling, and I really I don't know anything, but I have a certain feeling that some Taffers from the community might be involved. I
Hmm.
I that's just a feeling. Like sometimes I can read certain things, like and
Well, I believe to
like
your point that System Shock 2 has, I believe, compatibility. The remaster has compatibility for old content. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in chat or later if anybody knows, but I think it
But for
does.
Thief, it must be even because I think
Of
the
course.
System Shock scene is not as big as Thief.
Oh, of course. Yes, absolutely. You're
Like with the
100% right.
FMs, they don't have like thousands of fan missions and stuff. So to make every mission compatible, I think is impossible because a lot of missions tried individual scripts and stuff and graphics and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I'm really wondering, and I'm really looking forward how they managed to do it, if they managed to do it. But that I think is a huge thing.
Ekmir says Voodoo 47 is over there. I don't know if he's only consulting though. He said that in chat.
Consulting still a win.
Voodoo 47 doesn't ring a bell for me at the moment. I just know AK 47 and Karis
Yeah, we're
47.
going. So, Mortigris is, if that's how you say your name. If I said it wrong, I apologize. Brought back the AK Karis, old tech from Kareth
Mm,
Din.
The Kareth Dean era, yeah, that's
Kareth Din.
some. Do you know that?
With this
No,
weapon, I will
Kareth.
defend the borders of my motherland.
we
No,
know.
come back, Jake. You are not in your strange war theater right now. Um,
I was gonna say, thank you for snapping me back to reality.
yeah. So, uh, yeah. So as I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really happy to discuss it with you guys. And of course, I would be really happy to discuss it with the Night Dive people. And I think it would make sense to do it after the release, so then
Mhm.
we have, something to talk and ask for, like design decisions, why and how and what. That would be awesome. But maybe it never happens. Who knows? We're just a small little fish. But yeah, uh, but I think it's so interesting, and I'm looking forward to how the community reacts to this.
Oh, and first time on console too. I didn't even see that, so I was going over the show notes. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
that's
That's
Oh,
first time
what
on
a
console.
win.
and then there's still the mystery. Like, okay, Stephen Russell is working with them. We know that Daniel is working with them on cutscenes. But why do they need Stephen Russell? And how do they implement his voice? Because his voice doesn't sound in any way like Garrett back then. So
Mm.
does he re-record everything? Does Daniel do voices? Does he do Benny? You know, uh, like or is there was this thing like there's a new campaign which might have been an error by by Atari, but who knows? Maybe it was an info that was too early. So what, a new campaign? What, is that possible? How? But then they will always be compared to Black Parade and stuff. You know.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they also might be bringing something into the fold. Like they might be saying, "Ah, well, this fan campaign is now canon." Who knows?
That's what I thought too. But on the other hand, I don't know. Yeah, but how would they implement Stephen Russell? You know, like he
That's what
doesn't sound like Garrett anymore. Like
See, my opinion is that even though Steven Russell is a little older and his voice may
a
have changed a
little.
little bit, I think that there is still an unmistakable quality in his voice that you can always just you feel it's him when it's him. I had this happen last night actually. I reinstalled Fallout 4 and I booted it up, and he is of course Codsworth, the robot at the beginning of that game. And I hadn't played in forever, and I booted it up and I went, is that my old friend Steven Russell? And I looked it up and it was. And I think
Yeah,
that
and
even
also the detective.
Yep, I think that he will. I don't think it will matter. I think that if Stephen Russell is Garrett, I want to hear it.
I disagree totally, because I remember, the music from our new intro. That is the music from the first teaser trailer from Thief 2014, which still featured Stephen Russell's voice. And that came out, I don't know, in 2011 or something.
Hmm.
And I know that I was listening to it and I was like, yeah, it's great that he's there, but he sounds like an old Garrett. And that's that's no criticism to Stephen Russell. I mean, we love him, but
yeah.
I don't think that maybe they do a new campaign where he is old, you know,
The Rock,
Mhm.
but like an
Well,
old Garrett, senior Garrett, whatever. But
fast
geriatric
forward.
Garrett.
yeah, Jerry, I was just
Mhm.
thinking the same. Um, and then it would make sense. But voicing the young Garrett we were playing, and um, I don't see it actually.
Yeah, I think to that point, and also Ekmir I think mentions it in chat. System Shock remake and Terry Brocious have done something for them. I think he's referring to this, but they did record new dialogue for Terry, or re-recorded some of Terry's dialogue when they did System Shock remake, and it is layered with the old dialogue, I believe. But
So
like
many
to that
things you can
point,
do.
right. So I was gonna say
But
to
she
that
still
point, obviously a
sounds the same.
computer. Yeah, and she's also a computer, so you can add like synthesis voice for obviously like with Garrett, you can't just be like, add like robot
She's
sound effects to his
but
voice.
she's also in Gloomwood, and she still sounds as she
Right.
always did, in my opinion. So
Right.
I think that's huge too. His voice changed a lot.
Yeah, and I'm saying to that point though also like they can't do anything to his voice too much to equalize it, or that's going to sound like even more out of place. You know what I'm saying? Like not only being older, but also like if they're like, "Oh, Garrett found a voice changer. Now he sounds like completely different." Like obviously like that's not going to work like because of
Uh,
how it
I
works.
think personally, I think the problem is vastly mitigated by avoiding mixing new recordings with old missions. I think that
Mhm.
if he's
Oh yeah,
voicing new missions or additional trailer or additional briefing content, that's fine. I will take him at any age. I think he's an excellent voice actor, and I don't think he can be replaced.
no matter. I don't say anything else, but I don't think that he would work as a young Garrett. And someone, Julian DeFranco on the chat said, I disagree. Haven't you heard Thief 3 sound filed next to Thief 1 and 2 sound totally different? It's not about Russell's age. Yeah, but that was a 6 to 4-year difference. Now we're talking about over 20 years difference. And we have heard Stephen Russell in many occasions, and even in 2011 he sounded way older. So
Yeah, he's in Dishonored 2, obviously, he plays Corvo, and part of that character is that he's kinda, like, old and tired, but, like, that, like, routine, like, through the games, like, I gotta find my daughter," like, you know?
that's really
Perfect.
bad.
I know. That's
Two
why I'm
very
not a
different opinions.
professional that's why I'm
Yeah,
not a
that's what.
professional
But
voice
you've
actor.
proven my point. Stephen
Yeah.
Russell sounds exactly like that today.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
exactly.
But yeah, of course, I want him back in that. But in my imagination, it's like, okay, hopefully they find a scenario where his voice, as it sounds now, would not distract you, but it would fit to whatever they come up with. But I think that's part of the fun about this.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they'll do because if you would have told me like when they first announced this, like, hey, they're might do new content, I'd be like, that I can't believe that. I think this seems, you know, unbelievable. But to that point, like It is
They're porting
is
it
very
to a new
interesting,
engine. They're porting it to a new engine
right?
that might have the workflow for mission making might be accelerated. It might actually be very simple now. We'll have to
Oh
see.
yeah, but yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just interesting. But because you bring him back, you bring people who used to work on the game back. Is it just to kind of look at old things? Is it to redo old things? Is it to do new things? I think it's an interesting mystery, as you said, Alex. It's
We
interesting.
got Dromed 2.
I think what
Oof.
is one of the great things would be that it would also bring new people to the community. That happened through the Black Parade already, and I think this one is also even bigger chance. And I think that would be really cool because some talented authors came out of those. Even Thief 2014 brought a lot of people to the community, and I think
Yeah.
Plutonia, no, not Plutonia, Marbleman, uh, for example, I think it was a late starter to the community, and look what became of him. A very talented author, and
hmm I think that's a good
that's
point.
yeah, and that's
I
the
think you
thing I'm looking forward most. And then everybody can
same.
decide which version you want to play.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. That's the same. My number one hope from this is that it's good enough on like an objective technical level to bring in more fans, new people to the community, because that's obviously going to, raise the, prestige of Thief, increase, getting fan missions and, potentially new games and, getting credit for the old games and stuff. So that's my biggest
Thief
hope
2
too.
Remaster.
Ah, now we're talking. Oh, that would
Yeah,
be
but that's it's fine that they can try on the first one and then perfect it on the second one. Then
yeah,
they
there's a
can
lot more
bring
cut
the
content.
Thief 2 director's cut or gold version that we
Ah.
never got.
Literally my dream come true. That would literally be my dream come true. That's what I'm hoping for also. If this does good enough, we get Thief 2 remaster. Yeah, look at those gold missions. Rebalance that campaign potentially, optionally. Sorry, not to get off all into it, but
Someone said, Gamified said, "Nah, give him some hot tea. He can sound younger."
he
Steven
just has
doesn't
to clear
like.
his throat.
It works for
um,
me.
nah, he's just drinking water and eats green apples when he records. I know that for a
Very
fact. You
good.
can listen it. You can listen to it on our interview. Um, and Seth, do you try to make a voice for your opinions on the chat? Like we want him. like,
Yes,
like
I'm a proponent of geriatric Garrett.
yeah, you're writing your own joke you made here in the discussion into the chat, and then we want him.
I'm trying to codify it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out into the
Give us
world.
old Garrett. Give us old Garrett.
Oh, Gamified said if they do Thief 2 remaster, I really want to see new bots. What do you mean? To change the existing ones or add new bots with new mechanics?
I think he
Because
means new ones.
there have been leftovers in the original game that have been reused in fan missions somehow. They should hire Fire Mage. He
Yeah,
has
I
a
mean the
lot of
Mm.
talent's out
stuff.
there.
Then we could have horses, and maybe then we could have an open world where you can travel between cities. Wouldn't that be great?
Just be beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like the potential obviously with the first game is so great, and I know we're all looking forward to seeing what happens. And I think the sequel, obviously like Thief 2, I think gives you even more freedom because there's more, I think, cut content and more things that could potentially be looked at. How about the mission editor though, or the not editor, but mission selector for the first game? Like really cool, I think. Sometimes I just want to
Yeah.
play the sword.
And maybe they can do something to the strange golden boy from Mission 10, Thief 2.
Yes,
Oh
and Gamma Fight
yes.
clarified there was canceled bots. Ekmir said scurry bots and clockwork spy bots.
Yeah. But speaking of original missions, because I think that I think we made our points about our thoughts on the remaster, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So we should talk about the state of the podcast.
Mhm.
It wasn't in a good state over almost 2 years, 1.5. I think it was 1.5. I think we had
Last
Black
episode was
Parade in
fall of 2024. Yep.
September, yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of shenanigans going on in our private lives and health issues on my side and stuff, blah blah blah. Um, I have to say I'm full steam for new content to do it more often. Again, yesterday Kletramus was on the live stream, which was nice, and he finally confirmed my theory that Kletramus is a Norway word for a certain mouse that's translated to climbing mouse.
That's fine.
Yeah, I found one day I found out about that mouse, and I was like, oh wait, that's almost like German Klettermus, Klettermaus, and yeah, he confirmed it yesterday. Um, and he asked like when we will discuss Thief 1 original missions, and I personally would be in for that. That would be a lot of fun, but I don't know. We didn't plan this, and didn't have discussions before this podcast. So, how are your thoughts and feelings about doing more episodes more often in the future?
I mean, I'm theoretically interested. I love Thief 1.
Nope, never. No, yeah, of course. That'd be
right out.
great. Yeah, I think it would be great also, and I think also like as new people come into the game, hopefully, with the remaster, like going through it like kind of piece by piece, like maybe with the new and the old people, I think could be a good opportunity for the community.
And
Good
those young people are used to get monetized, so maybe we can take advantage of that. I will create a Patreon right now. No,
Yep, and we need 30-second thief content. 30 seconds, like gotta be quick with the attention spans of the youngins.
the new episode is just a YouTube short. Follow us on TikTok.
Just play it so fast, it's like blah, 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 like everything in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, or it's just my yeah. No, yeah, but I think that would be great. I think it would also be cool to invite authors again and stuff. But of course, I don't want to force it. Like, and you cannot celebrate the same party you once did. But I would be really happy if we could do more episodes. I think doing original mission would be great.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to cover them in any specific time frame, so we can just take our
No,
time with it and jog it into our new schedules.
my first question would be the training mission a separate episode, or would it be like inserted into the Beffords Manor episode? But then I'm like, Beffords Manor is so much to talk about.
Yeah, I was
Then
gonna say it's like the most famous mission of all of Thiefdom.
What
nah, it's life of the party.
what if training with things like initial impressions / training? Because I do agree Baffords can be a lot as well.
I wouldn't mind combining it, to be honest.
Nah, that's too much. I think. Look at this. We have like 1.5 hours now. With like
Yeah,
just
man, we
really
really can do it, can't we? We could take a thin subject and stretch it out as long as we want.
that's the magic of podcasts.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so you would be aboard because what I did yesterday, I sent some money to our podcast hoster again. We have been in debt. The account is closed so far. I needed to send them a lot of money to reactivate it. So this episode won't be on the podcast apps until the money is there. So this might take a week. But yeah, I would love to not restart, but to go on with the podcast more often. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I could imagine.
Joe Flood says in chat, having in-depth comparisons of original and remastered missions could be interesting once the remaster comes out.
Was my thinking. The trouble is
Joe
we'd have to hold indefinitely and wait for that to come out.
Joe Flood said, "I hope Night Dive can remaster Thief 3 in their Kex engine so the games all match." Whoa. Yeah, I think that's a bit too much, but I would totally root for Thief 3 Remaster because I think that game has a lot of flaws that should be addressed.
Yeah, for sure. That one's probably benefits the most because haven't had the work like that people have done with like New Dark. Like Thief 3 has like the mantling issues. I got stuck in a wall last time I played, and my save file's completely gone now. So,
Oof.
to your
Yeah,
point,
and maybe they could fix that, your movement is connected to the real body movement of the figure, of the
what you
character.
what you don't like to play like you're on stilts?
No, I don't like.
Me either. It's not
No, and
great.
I think that game maybe people wouldn't be too mad about graphical updates
I
because
agree.
first of all, it's Unreal Engine, so I think there's way more you could do, and I think it's Thief 3 has a different kind of love treatment from the community. It's still very appreciated, but it's like the third. It's like a stepchild.
Yeah, I think it still looks great for like when it came out, but to your point, like I think there's more liberties you can take with upgrading Thief 3, and I think conceptually like I don't think it would be as much of an issue, at least just on paper.
Yeah, and the look is not as iconic, I would say, because of the engine and graphical improvements. Um, yeah.
In
That
Um,
makes
hindsight,
sense.
though, it does have a very specific vibe from a specific time and place. Like it's before the era of Unreal slop, as the youth call it.
yeah, and then they had a highly modified Unreal Engine.
Yes.
So yeah, I loved. I still love the looks today. It's very unique, and you can identify it from everywhere. But still, um,
Agreed.
yeah.
We'll have to
So
see.
so so we can confirm we will do new episodes every week now. Um, thanks, guys, that you are on board with that. Yeah, no, but yeah, would be cool in the near future to do another original mission, and maybe I was thinking like what fan missions would be great to discuss. Maybe people
Have we
could
done a
tell it.
personal favorite? Like, have we done our personal favorites?
No, I
I
Hmm.
mean
think that would be a
That's
fun
good.
one to discuss.
personal favorite missions, or what do you mean?
Personal favorite fan missions that like we as individuals would like
Oh
to
my
discuss.
God, there are too many. I was
Well,
thinking
we
about
would we
this
would
as
pick a
well.
we'd narrow it down. We'd narrow it down.
No, but it's I don't know. I couldn't. I have played hundreds of fan missions. There's so many great.
You couldn't pick your top 3?
No, never.
Oh man.
I could never pick my top three. I think I have issues picking my top three missions from the original games and thinking of all the fan missions that are out there. That is, there is individual authors where I couldn't decide which of their missions would be my top three just among their entries.
Hmm.
Nicked, for example. Like, is it Malazar? Is it Falling of the Leaves? Is it
It's very true because specific
Melvin?
authors come with specific
Skeki?
styles.
Skeki has so much random Taffer. Um, I don't know. There's Lady Ravenna, Pukey, uh, the Yandros, um, uh, Arsol, DRK. There. I don't know. And there's so much stuff.
True. A lot of great missions, a lot of great authors out there too, and stuff like that. And picking
Yeah,
sometimes a favorite is very difficult because you got to leave people out or leave things out, and it can be tough.
yeah. So I think Gamified. What is your favorite FM and why is it Being Thief 2? Being Thief is all yeah. There are so many amazing. From my head, I would say like Scarlet Cascabel. That was
I can see why.
so impressive on
It's
me.
very technically impressive.
But then there is from Rowena. what is it? Uh, I can't recall the name at the moment, but she made impressive stuff. I don't know. It's almost impossible to name favorite fan missions, to be honest.
Platonia says it's funny that Fear was released only a year after Thief 3. Doesn't have the same body awareness problems at all. The animations follow the camera, not the other way around. I agree. Fear does control very well.
But that's a totally different engine.
Yeah,
That is the
of
own
course.
engine
It's in
of
the Lilith Tech engine versus
yeah.
versus
So
Unreal 2.
that's I think you can compare that, and it's just first person. That was the issue with Thief 3, that they had to do
Right.
this compromise.
Yeah,
So I
that's the
think
main issue of that.
the comparison with engines and graphics and things just by year is really you could still say, hey, Thief had the sound engine in 1998, and look at
Yeah.
Dishonored
Yeah, it's
now.
hard. In Fear, you're only like not only because Fear is an amazing game, but you're just shooting in Fear, and you jump and shoot, and like Thief, you interact with the environment in so many different like ways. But Fear is a great game, so shout out to Fear.
Yeah. So I think we did a nice comeback. Of course, not as focused as usual, but that's a Taffers talk. But it was great discussing things. And
Pleasure
as
to have you
always,
guys again.
yeah, it was great. I was so much
Absolutely.
looking forward to this. And thank you to all the people watching live and to all the people watching and listening later.
Yep.
That was really great. And as I said, like last week, how many people came and were understanding that it didn't happen because of water arrows or water talisman. I think
Yes, the water talisman went off. Ah, shouldn't have kept it
Eggmeyer.
upstairs.
I think it was Eggmeyer, right?
Yeah, he made that. That was funny. Very funny.
Yes. So yeah. Any last words from you about anything from this episode? Nope.
I am
Nothing
pumped
about
for the remaster.
Yep, excited for the
More
remaster. Great
news.
to be able to talk to you guys, and thankful for everybody who listens and comments and supports us. And it's a really fun thing to do, and it's great that we all can get together and celebrate our love for Thief.
Plutonia is just like, if you are going to be doing episodes about Thief 1 OMs, I could also join to talk about Thief lore. That idea is great, but this only works if one of us would be missing an episode, because more than 3 people, if it's not in like an interview format, is always pretty tough
Mhm.
to with all the talking. But we will
Just
keep
have to
that in
tie me
mind.
up in the back room.
No, but yeah, but maybe, and also it's like I like original missions to discuss with the same people, because there are some insiders and stuff you could refer to in later episodes, which wouldn't happen if you have like changing people.
Like a
But
continuing discussion that you can link
Platonia,
together.
I would keep that in mind, because you have been on the show on the Taffers Talk episode 2 or something like that, if I remember that correctly. And that was a great addition. So it's not a no, but I'm always like, oh yeah, wait, but then
Sounds just like you.
nah, I'm not that. I'm not a grumpy guy. I'm just like, I have to think things through. And it took me 1.5 years if I ever want to do an episode with you again. And at the end, Jake came around. Hey, Thick as Thieves, shitty game. Let's talk about it. I was like, yes.
As long as we get something good to talk about, even things that are bad or have mixed reception can be fun to talk about.
Yeah, but that's
So
what I
it's
have
good.
to say. As I said to you, like, every game becomes good with co-op,
This is true.
but this game doesn't.
No, it does not. But it was interesting. Not
It was
good, but
interesting. Yeah,
interesting.
it was a great idea to discuss it, and to explore it, because it was always like I was always curious how it would be, and so I have that checked on my list. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as I said, thank you everybody, and see you next time in 2 years when we discuss the announcement of Thief 2 Remaster. So, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Take care.
bye.